Welcome back to Mornings with the Focus. I want to apologize to everyone this week for my absence. Not been feeling the best. Finally felt well enough to get on here and run my mouth this morning. So thank you for joining. Joining as always, we got Justin Walters with us. I'm Wilson Tarver Jr. again. Welcome to Mornings with the Focus. In case it's your first time tuning in, just a reminder how things, well, not a reminder, but a refresher as to how things go. It's just an open conversation. We got some things we plan to talk about within that time frame. Feel free to jump in, join the conversation, steer the conversation. Let us know what you guys are thinking about as we go into week one of the NFL season. Now that it officially begins tonight, as the Rams and Bills kick off the 272 game slate of regular season games. So, where I don't even know. I guess let's make it as simple as possible, right? Rams Bills tonight at SoFi. You got the reigning champs hosting a team that everyone has felt, everybody has felt good enough about to automatically insert at the top of the contenders list in this league. Obviously, a week one matchup won't be the end all be all as things progress this season. However, it could possibly be the healthiest both teams are this year. So your thoughts on tonight's matchup?
Yeah, it's an interesting game. I could look at it a bunch of different ways, and again, it could be a Super Bowl preview, as everyone says. But the hype is real. The hype is real, and people are living off of that playoff Josh Allen playoff performance, and that's kind of like elevated him into, I don't even want to say a god, like they have him as he's Superman, and you kind of forget that there's still growing pains, there's still up and downs with Josh Allen, but just how he ended the season is kind of elevated and made people just forget some of the issues he has as a player. And then the Rams, it's kind of weird, like you said, the first game of the season. Now, this is the game where they'll probably be the healthiest, and it's like the quarterback's hurt already. Like he's coming in with the elbow issue. And again, I guess the elbow probably never gets better. So that's going to be tough, and I guess to make a long story short, or a long whatever short, it's just I think the Bills are more ready for this game because I think the Rams were really they took the preseason as really preseason, like didn't play anybody. You don't know what's going on with the running back situation. Again, Stafford didn't play preseason. Didn't see Ramsey or Donald or the guy, anyone really. So I think the Bills come in this game, more hungry and with something to prove. And even, the reps they did get in preseason, they look really good. But again, I think this is a game where the Bills will come up ready to go. And the Rams have that star power of guys who are just ready anyway. And that's what their whole thing is banked on. The whole process is banked on 5 to 7 guys who are ballers. But again, I think for today, for today's game, I'd probably give the Bills a slight edge, just because I think of how hungry they are and where they're coming from. And again, things could totally change by the end of the season. But for tonight, I probably just lean the Bills.
Yeah, I'll probably agree with you on most of the thing, on most counts. And just in terms of the readiness, right? The Rams starters haven't, it'll be the first time really going live per se. This, because they have their way of doing things in the preseason where they're just like, if you're worth something, you do not play in preseason games.
Right.
Our main goal during preseason is, hey, come get your practice in, and that's great. We're gonna bang on the fact that you still remember how to play football physically. Come week one, and we'll just deal with it. That said, yeah, the Bills should be a little bit more ramped up and ready to go since they've been in the postseason. The starters, the depth, all that. However, look, man, I just think it's one of those things where I like the Bills a lot. I still don't have them where everybody else has them. I don't look at them in that light. I do think they're a contender, but I don't have them like just at the top of the mountain is like the number one contender in the league. I'm not quite there with it. Yeah, I don't think they're the best team in the AFC for sure. Like it's not like those type vibes for me. So yeah, I think they should be more ready to go tonight. However, like the Rams are still the Rams, man. I'm interested to see how like what that Cooper Cup Allen Robinson duo looks like. I think that's
Right.
very interesting. See what the Rams O line look like. For the Bills is obviously can you just hit the ground running? If you can, that's great. But like you said, it's the first game of the season. I'm not about to take any sweeping indictments from tonight's game, from either team, honestly, or for any team, in week one at all. It's just it would be reckless of me to do so. So I won't be doing that. But yeah, it'd be good to see the Rams starters because we didn't get to see them in the preseason, just to get to see how things look. Again, look, I've been all over, where I've stood my position on Allen Robinson all season once he got added to the Rams. I'm just ready to see what it looks like.
Right.
That's what it is for me.
I'm interested with the Bills. Another thing is like a question for me is just like I think they're a really good team, but like where do they how do they match up star power wise? With other teams like it's Allen, it's Diggs, and then it's really not another star on that team. Like you're hoping Von Miller becomes that difference maker on defense. I think the safeties are really good. I know Tre'Davious White. I don't believe so. Again, where's the true star power to get through these games? I know and they put a lot on Josh Allen's plate in the big games, but you can't live that way for 17 games. And again, I think obviously Diggs is top 3, top 5 receiver in the NFL. But I just wonder, how that matches up. I mean, not so much today, but overall just throughout the season. But it's interesting to watch, and again putting a lot on his plate because he does make mistakes. He does put the ball on some tight. They just not saying so much the Cam Newton thing, but it was just like he was the running back, he was the quarterback, he was just the overall playmaker. You're the best guy on the field, make things happen. And again, that doesn't hold up. You can't play fullback, quarterback, receiver at the same time, running back at the same time. I think so. Just to see who's going to be the other difference makers on that team, especially defensively, because they got the young defensive end from last year, and then again the Von Miller signing. But Von Miller wasn't killing in Denver, but then going next to that group they had next to him, the group, Aaron Donald and that defense, then he stepped it up, So it's just interesting where he's going to have to be the guy again. And what they're counting on from him is a lot of guys who are solid around him who do their job, and for him to be the guy that makes the game-changing plays. And I think that's what they're looking for, and that's going to be the difference when it comes to trying to win a Super Bowl. And just to see how that works out. And again, everyone expects Gabriel Davis to have a big year, and Allen has a good relationship with McKenzie. I'm interested to see the running back game with Cook, how they use Cook, and again, I wouldn't give up on Singletary and Moss either. So just seeing how that running back room works out, because that could be some things they're going to be trying to figure out starting, as the season goes on as well. So, and again, their offensive line's not great either, and they have to block, as long as Aaron Donald's over there, things are going to always be, there's always going to be some issues on the offensive line, but they're not dominant on the offensive line. Neither team is. So just, again, I think some of the Bill stuff is getting overhyped, which, it's weird how a team can go from, I think they're a top 10, top 17 to like number 1 by a long shot.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
That's where I think.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Get away from us and forward.
Their run game, like it can't continue to be non-existent. I don't care who it is by committee.
Right.
If one guy steps ahead to the pack, becomes a bell cow, that's irrelevant to me. What does matter is you need to have a consistent run game. I feel like their run game is less consistent than the Rams, which kind of speaks volumes. And which is also, not to be funny, but like that that really does speak volumes because we know the Rams, like, they kind of like, oh, I know we need to run it. We should run it. We know how to run it. 4 wide. But yeah, I just think that as talented as they are, I just feel like there's a couple things missing, and that's just why I'm not, over the moon about the Bills. However, they are one of those. There's one. They're definitely rather one of the contenders in the league. All right, looking at the rest of the, just looking at the overall schedule, week one. I just want to ask you any games that jump out to you, and then maybe tomorrow we'll go through little by little and get through it.
Yeah, yeah. It's off the top of my head that Lions Eagles game is is the game I'm looking forward to. I just want to see what the next step if the Lions are ready, what that is, and how they compete. And again, maybe the thought is they're probably a year away, but they do have a lot of talent, a good amount of talent on that roster. And then the Eagles, they're another team like kind of like how the Bills, but I mean, it happened differently. Was the hype has gotten to a level of, I don't know, like they made some really good signings, and just trying to fit those signings to like what it means to actually win, to beat the good teams, to beat the contenders. I think the way they're set up is to beat up. A friend of mine said, an Eagle fan said, they're set up to beat the bad teams, which that gets you 11 wins usually. You know what I mean? You're set up to beat the teams that are at your level or below because of the physicality and the weapons they have. And, it comes down a lot to Jalen Hurts. And that's, and again, what they do defensively with some of the safeties and linebackers. But again, they're a loaded team. They're too deep at a lot of positions, but it's a lot on Jalen Hurts' plate. And again, he's not going to lose you games, but when it comes down to, you look at that Tampa Bay game last year, and their matchup versus Dallas, how he does there, that's going to be what really separates them. If they can make that jump. And what makes this game even more interesting is just the fact that you're getting two teams that are physical. In a league of spread and throwing the ball all over the place. You have teams that don't mind, have two of the best offensive lines in the NFL, and teams that, whether the Lions defensive line is not dominant, but they have a lot of bodies, a lot of talented players that that both teams run deep, first and second unit. So just seeing the physicality and I want to see what we get from DeAndre Swift. There's been a lot of hype and he's a super talented back, but just seeing what he does and just the way what they preach over there, that physicality, and just the way that coaching staff does it. So just to see how that game goes, and it'll tell us a lot about both teams. Not so much, I guess, who wins, who loses, but just the way that game goes and how the Eagles really want to run that offense. You add another receiver and you put those two guys together, and that group looks dynamic, with the tight end and the two receivers. But just seeing, okay, is Miles Sanders the back? Do they give it to the other backs? Who's the one that gets the main touches, and how they're going to get the ball in A.J. Brown's hands, and what the plan is for Devontae. So just seeing what the Eagles' method of attack is. Like, it sounds good. It looks really good on paper, especially, if you're playing the video games or fantasy. But to actually see what the actual plan is going to be throughout the season, that's just something I look forward to seeing. And then the Lions, Golf looked good, and obviously it was on the training camp show, he looked excellent. But seeing, what that team does, is Aiden Hutchinson for real? Is he, because that team a lot is the one guy, like, is he the Bosa that puts that team, puts that defensive line in another unit, another level, and that'll be something to watch. And that makes that game really interesting for me.
Yeah, I think that game could be fun. Obviously, with two teams that want to be physical, two teams that preach being physical. Similar to the Bills with the Eagles,
Well,
man.
right,
Similar to the Bills, the Eagles got to run the ball. Like they're
right,
built to do it. They have
right.
to show us that you can consistently do it. Yeah, I know you went to get AJ Brown. I know that's going to help the pass game. However, you have a very talented running back. Get to using him correctly. And I think it can keep the offense kind of on schedule a little bit more. I feel like at times it was a little bit sporadic, and the times when they needed big plays, they were pressing. Obviously, the presence of AJ Brown helps with that mightily. Defensively, just want to see, like you said, it's going from what stuff looks like on paper to what it to putting it in practice, and that's for both of those teams. Um, that should be a fun one. Another one that I was looking forward to that, since some people might not seem super exciting. New England and Miami. Can't wait
Mm.
to see that one.
Yeah.
Just because it's looking at, we know Bill Belichick's coach defenses and everything of that nature. I want to see just what, like, we heard all the noise about the Patriots' offense or lack thereof during camp. How bad is it? And if it is indeed that bad, could they really be like? Can it get ugly week one?
Mm.
Like, that's what I'm curious about. Because the method last year was, to play sound defense and be sound offensively. If the offense is worse than last year's or has regressed a bit, that's putting more pressure on a defense that doesn't have J.C. Jackson anymore. Um, I know they still have talented young players over there, man, but look, the skill position group that Miami has, it's cool to have nice talented young players on defense. It's another thing to go deal with that. And I'm anxious to see what they look like as well. I think they'll look like a well-oiled machine on both ends, but that remains to be seen because it's only week one. Trying to think of another game I was actually looking forward to. Um,
No,
oh,
to add to that, the Dolphins game. Oh, sorry, you hear me?
go
To
ahead.
add to that Dolphins Patriots game is what I'm looking forward to seeing as well. Just like you said, Belichick. There's a reason why they're trying to use a lot of the Kyle Shanahan stuff, is because he struggles with it. He struggles to stop it. So again, McDaniel's going to be running a lot of that with weapons equal to, if not better, than what the 49ers had when they were punishing them. So it's something, and not to mention they were swept by Miami last year. So who's to say a better version of this Miami offense, a confident offense with more weapons and, just more efficient, what they could do to that Patriots defense, along with, like obviously there'll be no Byron Jones, but, the defense is still a pretty good defense, or one of the better defenses in the league. And if that Patriots offense is struggling, like you said, it could get ugly. A lot of this Patriot confidence is really just because it's Bills there. If you really go down that
Yeah.
roster, it's young, it's a different kind of roster. So we're just kind of looking at it saying there's got to be a plan. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
because if it was another team with that roster, we'd call them one of the worst teams in the league. But there's something about, with Bill being there, we're saying maybe he's trying to do this. Maybe he sees something that we don't see.
Right.
And this ain't the team to find out against, And
No.
again, the worst thing that can happen is to let them get some confidence. Because those weapons are what they are. That's the group. That's one of the best sets of weapons we've seen in a while. Wilson, the tight end, the running backs working with decent protection. For the best.
All right, Justin, it's breaking up a bit. I don't think we can hear you at the moment.
So in the league.
Hey, Justin.
So that's, you don't want to. I can't see that the Patriots offense doing any type of shootout type thing. So
All right, we're gonna try to get Justin back. Give it a second. I know it was breaking up a little bit, but I'm sure there was a lot that he said right there. Want to try to get him back in here to get the rest of it. Hey, Justin, can you hear us? Not sure at the moment. All right, we'll try to get him back. Justin. All right, we'll try to get him back. I know another one I was looking at was Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Honestly, very excited about that one. Just because of what it could mean for that division if Pittsburgh has themselves together. We know they were missing a quarterback. They're not going to be asking Mitch Trubisky to save the world or anything like that. Just to execute their offense. Every once in a while, make an off-schedule play, but for the most part, just execute their offense. That's all they're going to be asking of him, rather. Want to see if the offensive line did in fact improve. I think that would go a long way for their run game. I think it's clear about what Pittsburgh would like to do out here in terms of running the ball. And playing off of that. They have a very nice group of weapons on a perimeter. Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson. We all heard the noise that George Pickens made throughout preseason. Pat Fryermuth at tight end. We know what they have defensively. That group is special last year. Honestly, it's legit. It's really just about quarterback play. Can you be productive? Can you execute the offense? That's all they really need. And if they can, I'm interested to see how it affects that division going forward. Like, we legit saw that defense last year keep them in games and or win games. They just were lacking in terms of what they got from the quarterback position, which, usually if you're lacking at that position, it's pretty tough to get done. It's pretty tough to reach your season goals, honestly. Extremely tough. So, again, might get Justin back in a little bit. Technology is doing what technology does at the moment. Trying to think of another one I'm looking forward to. That really might be it for week one. Oh, no, Green Bay and Minnesota, actually. Green Bay and Minnesota should actually be fun. Really feel like Minnesota might be a little bit better just because of the coaching change. Not saying that Econo's a better head coach than Zimmer, obviously not, because he had, it's his first time in that role. However, offensively, I think it'll be using, it's another one of those guys underneath that McVay, Shanahan, Tree, and then you think about the weapons they have and what that could mean for somebody like Justin Jefferson. We saw how the Rams utilized Cooper Kupp, and everyone knew, Cooper's going to get the ball. And the Rams routinely found new ways to get him the ball on a regular basis. And I think that'd be fun to see how they make that work with Justin Jefferson. I don't think it'd be too difficult. I know during some quotes from Justin Jefferson during like the what was it? During their joint practice with the Niners, he was excited about how he could be used in Kevin O'Connell's offense, which I think is going to be interesting. Again, they move Cooper Kupp all around. We know the type of damage Justin Jefferson has done in a short time in the league. Now imagine him in that offense with all the misdirections, all the different places you can line him up. I think the Vikings legit could be better. However, I think the Packers might have one of their best defenses they've had in a while. They have the potential to have one of the best defenses they fielded, in franchise history, if they stay healthy and they kind of max out their potential on that end. So that's another one I'm looking forward to. Welcome back, Justin. I don't know if you can remember everything you were saying a little while ago, but you can go ahead and get into some of that about what was it about the Patriots Dolphins?
Oh, I don't know where I left off at, but I'm just looking at the Dolphins to be just to see how they attack that Patriots defense, Patriots team, because again, the Patriots have had struggles with Shanahan type systems before. So that was my main point, was just Belichick has had issues with it, and for him to try to install it to his team kind of tells you, how serious, how he views that. And then McDaniel being from that school says with those weapons kind of tells you how it's going to be it could be tough for the Patriots, and this version of Miami is nothing offensively, is not much like last year's. There's not too many of the same players, and the ones that are the same aren't the same. This version of Tua ain't the same version of Tua. Again, I'm not saying he's going to be more talented, but the confidence and the things he's asked to do are going to be way different than over the other coaching group. But again, Tyreek Hill, Waddle, Cedric Wilson, the tight end, the group of running backs. Then just even, I mean, again, even if the offensive line is not fully better, having a Teron Armstead gives you some type of an anchor, which they haven't had. They just had 5 below average line in the last few years. So in a system that doesn't ask the offensive line to be dominant. So I think that, and then having one of the better defenses in the league with no Byron Jones, but still one of the better defenses in the league that which gets pressure and a lot of different looks and blitzes and things like that. I think it could be tough for the Patriots. And again, just trying to see what Mac Jones does. Obviously they lost the deep that they drafted, but with Devontae Parker over there and the variation of slot receivers that he throws, that they have, Jacoby Myers and Kendrick Bourne, like those guys, to see what they do offensively different, because, does Ramondre Stevenson make a big step? Damon Harris, like, can they win? Can they be, be physical and do the thing on the ground? And I guess just to see what the Patriots do too. So it's two teams that are kind of battling for that spot behind Buffalo. And, Miami is the one that has the talent to make the jump to do more. Buffalo, I feel like the Patriots are trying to just be a solid, hoping for a 9-8, 10-7 type thing and sneak in the playoffs, whereas Miami's ceiling and floor are anywhere between 7-8 wins to 12-13 wins if everything clicks. So it's just I guess more of a big game for Miami.
Nah, for sure. While you were gone, one of the things I talked about was Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. I was looking forward to that one just because we've seen how good Pittsburgh is when they don't have quarterback play. They're still competitive and annoying and capable of winning games they have no business winning. And there's a couple teams around the league where they don't need their quarterback to be saviors. Pittsburgh is one of them. They're built where I don't need you to come in and throw for 400 yards. You don't need to have a perfect passer rating. I need you to execute the offense, and 2 to 3 times a game, if something bad happens, minimize the bad and make a play. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly believe, oh boy, it's weird saying this, Mitchell Trubisky is fully capable of doing that. Like, honestly, he's capable of that. They're not asking him to be Tom. You don't need to be Joe Burrow. You don't need to be Mahomes, Josh Allen, where, kind of like more of the weight's on them. But they just want you to execute. Like, the QB play the last 2 years with Ben was so bad. Like, the floor is in hell. Like, they just need you to be solid. Just, look, they want to run the ball anyways. They want, like, in a perfect world, the Steelers want to run the ball, play action, and get chunk plays. They have all the stuff needed. They have all the ingredients needed. They just need their quarterback to just play your part. Anything above that is a bonus. But let's think about it. Mitch he's athletic enough to move. I don't think anybody has an issue with his arm. It's just, hey, can you, in a better situation, what can you do? And that, I think it's simple. And the only test he had to get through was just show us that we didn't mess up. Like, get through the preseason and don't let this kid behind you remotely challenge you. He did it. He checked the first box. That's it.
Right. While being swarmed.
Yeah.
He did that all while being swarmed and held up, And I think, like you said, if defensively, like we were talking about Buffalo earlier about trying to have difference makers, this is a team that has that at each level defensively, which will help in a big way. Minka can take the ball away. The cornerback room is solid. It's not great. It's not terrible. The corner room is solid, but having Watt, the addition of Miles Jack, maybe you hope Devin Bush comes back, gets his game back together. But defensively, they're going to be at a certain level, and offensively, there's too many weapons in different spots that, and again, Ben hamstrung that offense last year because he just couldn't do the things that needed to be done. So you'll go away from so many checkdowns to Najee and so many little short passes to Deontay, but you add in what Pickens can do down the field. You add in what Claypool can do down the field. Whatever they do with Calvin Austin, the tight end solid. Not to mention Deontay Johnson can still do a lot. But again, if they figure in any way how to get that running game going, they could be a legit threat. Again, I'm not expecting Mitch to be anything special, but between his legs and just getting the ball down the field, and allow those guys to make plays. Those guys can do some, those guys are beasts, freaks, all of them. They can make some catches.
Yep.
Deontay can win on routes, and just giving them guys an opportunity to make plays. And again, like I said, if that running game gets going, just where Najee's averaging 3.5 to 4 yards a carry, they could be a real problem.
Yeah. If that running game is going well enough that you have to add folks into the box, you're in trouble against them.
Right.
It's honest to goodness. It's just that simple. And again, even one-on-one, you got three of your four guys. I'm gonna add the tight end where you can play basketball with those guys when you need to, like Fryermuth for sure, Pickens, Claypool. You can play basketball at times, which means again, like Mitch has a lot of room for error. Honestly,
Right.
it's not difficult. And again, man, this coach doesn't even know how to lose on purpose in bad situations. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
man had Mason Rudolph and refused to have a losing season.
Duck Hodges
and refused to have a losing season. No disrespect, but looking at them two, Mitch still looks like a guy who's drafted in the first round from a talent perspective, right? So yeah, they should be okay. And I think that's the scary thing where you look at some of the teams like the Bills and some of these other teams. The Steelers don't lack difference makers. They just lack someone under center to be functional.
Mm-hmm.
Their quarterback legit doesn't have to be special, just be functional. Now, if he has moments where he's special, man, even better for us. But we don't need you to be. Like, literally, just be yourself, Mitch, and that propels our team to a place that, we weren't during the end of, Ben was at the end. I'm not going to disparage Ben playing-wise, but the last couple of years, y'all know how bad it was. That he was a shell of himself. So, and then what it means for Cincinnati is if Pittsburgh is right, that road to the Super Bowl gets even more tougher, man. Like, I think we were saying last year when they made that run, we were talking during the offseason, as the AFC continued to make changes, it got exponentially more difficult for them. And Pittsburgh being better directly affects the Bengals' life. And I think maybe the last one I was looking forward to, I mentioned Green Bay and Minnesota, I think, while you were gone. And then I'm looking forward to Vegas and the Chargers, where to me it's two teams of which one of you guys are going to be serious this year? Or can both of you be serious? Like, I feel like both of them we've been talking about, or people have been talking about, like, from potential and what could happen and all the possibilities. What do you like? Which of those two teams will you kind of like take the unserious label off of and be like, all right, cool, I have to take you guys seriously now?
Right. And that's that's an interesting one. I think the Chargers are getting so, again, just like we talked about the Bills and the Eagles, the Chargers have got elevated to a spot of, it's again the talent on that roster is probably top 3, top 5, maybe, but
it's crazy. Yeah.
You didn't make the playoffs last year. You didn't. You haven't. You didn't the year before, and you've had talent for a while. You added even more talent. J.C. Jackson's out, so I mean, and this is the team that made the playoffs last year, but it's no respect, and they added talent as well. So to act like there's this huge gap between them, this is Kansas City's division until it's not, and those other 3 are fighting for the second spot. And this will be this would be a big one for the Raiders if they pulled it off. Not that they have to win it, but it'd be a statement, and it would say a lot to San Diego. To the Chargers, wherever they are from. It'll say a lot about them if they were to lose this game, because they're supposedly that next team, and for some reason people aren't giving the Raiders the respect, even with the adding Adams. People are putting Denver above them, or whatever. But those 3 teams are all in the same group, in my opinion, until we see something. We got to see how that defense works with all these new players. See what that offense does. See if Herbert can be consistent. We grab a lot of these guys. We take their highlights and we form this player that doesn't have flaws. We like he did this, he did that, and you can pick these parts and you can form this guy that is this player. We do it with Josh Allen. We do it with a lot of these guys, but
There's games where they lose to Jacksonville. What happens there? We don't look at that. There's games where you struggle with the Texans. We don't go to why you scored 6 points against the Texans or whoever. We don't do that. We just, hey, you look great against Kansas City in this game. You look great here, and it's, those are the things that we need to see. Those are the things that separate the great teams from the good teams.
Not for sure. Like you said, the whole body of work sometimes gets omitted when people want to propel people to places. If you only look at the good, yeah, it's wonderful and easy to make those cases. I'm just gonna be real. I'm looking at the talent that the Raiders had. I feel like as soon as Josh McDaniels got there, I had to take the unserious label off of them. I feel like I've had to. At least that's what it feels like. Now I'm interested to see will that feeling kind of transition to their play, and if it does, yeah, the AFC has another team to actually be worried about, like definitively concerned about. Because this is the fun part. We talk about all the talent and the difference makers the Chargers have defensively on paper, just not even on paper, because some of those guys, like, if they're on the field, they're difference makers. Like, let's be completely honest, they've done more than enough. I'm talking about JC, Derwin, the two all-world edge rushers, and Joey and Khalil. That said, Max Crosby's been pretty good. I mean, some people put him in a place that I don't think a discussion he shouldn't be in, but Max Crosby is one of the better edge rushers in the league. And then they have probably the best edge rusher in the league that people just somehow omit every time they talk about the position. I don't think people understand how good Chandler Jones is, and why it might not, like, Khalil and Joey might be closer to equals in terms of what they bring to the table. Like the pairing of Chandler Jones along with Max Crosby makes that like similar to their duo on the other side. And then now I'm gonna look at, say what you want about Josh McDaniels, but I'm probably gonna lean a little bit more in Josh McDaniels' favor in terms of which offense can figure out how to operate against the other's defense. So yeah, we'll see. And I think it gives the Raiders a chance to set the tone. And for the Chargers, you want to set the tone because, for the most part, I don't care what conversation people are putting you guys in. You're unserious until, like, give us a reason, right? And I think that's, both teams are looking at it, want to get the same thing accomplished in terms of setting a tone for different reasons. For the Raiders, it's like, hey, we weren't a fluke, like, give us some respect. For the Chargers, kind of like, reassure us. Just reassure us. Again, it's only a week one game, man. It's not the end of the world no matter what happens. But those are games I'm interested in this week for sure. I guess it might be something we do every week in terms of looking at like games, most anticipated games by us. Maybe not, that might not be anticipated by, others. So if you have nothing else to add, we're going to wrap up today. And then tomorrow, we'll talk about the aftermath of what happens tonight between the Bills and the Rams, which should be fun as some of you guys start your grand indictments on whichever team loses.
Your season's over. Yeah, season's over tonight.
Yeah. Someone's season ends with 17 games left to play. Just want to make. 16 games left to play because there's a bye somewhere. So let's make sure of that. Good job, guys. Good job. Good job to all. But for Justin and myself, you guys have a good day. We'll see you guys later.